The New York Giants just added a beast to their defensive line. Let's talk about it. My name is Paul. This is Big Apple Sports. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you very much. Please take a quick second, like and subscribe. Trying to build an awesome Giants community here. Going to have 5,000 subscribers here pretty soon. Every new member that joins just makes this community bigger and stronger and more fun to be a part of. So don't miss out on that. Like and subscribe. Also, comment below. Let me know who you want to be Harbaugh's coordinators, who you want to add in the draft, who you'd like to see the Giants go after in free agency. It's always fun to talk that kind of stuff out in the comments, so let me know. Anyways, the Giants made their first player move of the John Harbaugh era, and I'm pretty excited about it. So they signed DeMarvin Leal, who has been with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They signed him to a futures contract, and he'll have a chance to compete to make the roster next season. And I think a lot of people on the surface are going to be like, okay, whatever, this is a Pittsburgh Steelers bust. Odds are he's not going to make the team, and this is nothing. And you could be proven right. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I think this guy is going to be a star for the Giants. He's a project. He's like a chance that they're taking, but I'm going to give you some of his story and explain why I think he actually could work out really well for the Giants. So, if you follow the career of DeMarvin Leal, he was actually like a highly touted third-round pick in the 2022 draft. He's still only 25 years old. There were some people who had like a first or second round grade on him, and he slipped to the third round. And a big part of why he failed there, there's really two reasons why he didn't succeed in Pittsburgh. Reason number one is right down here. In 2024, he suffered a pretty severe neck injury that made him miss a good chunk of his season. So he missed the majority of his 2024 season. It was like he had a really good training camp, and it was right when they kind of expected him to maybe take that leap and become a starter, and then he hurts his neck and it never happens. And he didn't have a whole lot of production this year. But another big part of why he didn't do well is, as this is a Steelers article here, he was just a bad match from the very beginning. Like, poor job on the Steelers for not having a better plan for him. And this is from November of this year. I think they had cut him and then signed him to their practice squad. But this article kind of details, like, he was kind of like in between positions on defense. So Pittsburgh runs a 3-4 defense. I expect that's kind of what Harbaugh has done in Baltimore. So I would expect that to be what they do in New York. But we'll get more on that once they hire a D coordinator. But basically what that means is you got your nose tackle in the middle. You have two edge rushers. That's your three. And then the 4 is linebackers, but a lot of times your outside linebackers are kind of closer to edge rushers, and your 2 DNs are kind of more like additional D tackles. So in the 3-4, generally your DNs are more like bigger 270, 280 type guys, and your edge rushers are more like 250, 260. They can drop back in coverage if you need them. They can blitz if you need them. They're kind of hybrid, like linebacker, edge rusher type players. And DeMarvin Leal was always kind of somebody who, like, he was praised for his versatility because he was able to play both positions, but they never let him get good at one of those positions. And they did end up finally sticking him at outside linebacker. And when I show you what his size is, like, it's just shocking that that's where they left him. But I want to highlight, so this is bigblueview.com, Giants website. This is their projection for him from 3 years ago. It said he can play in both 3 and more 4-man fronts. He is a disruptive pass rusher on the interior. His versatility should make him an attractive player, but it should be more of a wrinkle. He appears much more comfortable as an interior lineman, and that should be his bread and butter in the NFL. And I think they gave him an 8 for his grade, which would leave them as saying he's a fringe first-round player with first-round athletic or mental traits, but could slide into the top of the second round. So like that just kind of shows you how high people were on him a few years ago. But I think this was a great breakdown of him saying, like, yes, he has that versatility, but he really belongs more as the defensive end there, where he can use his bigger body rather than on the edge where he doesn't quite have that quickness there. And the Steelers kept making him switch between both. So in that article by the Steelers writer kind of talking about it, and they talked about his weight fluctuation. He kept having to like drop weight to be outside linebacker, then put on weight to be defensive end. And like they just never let him establish himself a real position. And something that's interesting with Harbaugh is obviously he played the Steelers 2 times a year. So he knows all their players very well. The fact that he instantly comes and nabs him kind of shows you he must have seen something. And it brings up something that the Ravens did this year with Draymond Jones. He, if you haven't followed his career, he had 7 sacks for both the Ravens and the Titans this year. But he kind of is a similar style player where he is best as playing defensive end in a 3-4 system or as a defensive end in a 4-3 system. But the Seahawks, after a big year Draymond Jones had for the Broncos, the Seahawks brought him in and made him play outside linebacker. And he he was okay there, but they ended up cutting him after 2 years he was still a starting caliber player, but not for the money he played him, or they had paid him. So they cut him to save that money. And he ends up going to Tennessee, and then they traded him to the Ravens. And now you look at like the Ravens, this is an article, 5 most important players for them to re-sign. And they have him listed number 1. Said, among Ravens defenders, he led all Baltimore defenders in pass rush win rate. In only a few games, he had 2.5 sacks and 15 quarterbacks hits, finishing the year with 7 sacks and 24 total hits, both career highs. And you look at his size compared to DeMarvin Leal's. Draymond Jones is 6'3", 281. And DeMarvin Leal is listed as 6'4", 290. So like both, you hear 281, you hear 290, and it's like that's interior D-line. Why anybody would ever think, it's a compliment to both of these guys' athleticism that you would put them as outside linebacker in that 3-4 and have them come off the edge and maybe drop into coverage here and there. Like that's a huge compliment to their athleticism, but why you would think that's natural for somebody who's 280 or 290 is beyond me. Like it just makes no sense to me. And I think that's where the Giants really could have something here. If they bring him in and they let him commit to a position, they don't take advantage of his versatility and athleticism and willingness to play anywhere, but they're like, look, you're 6'4", 290. Get in on the interior of our line. You can sit there next to DeMarcus Lawrence. He'll be our nose tackle. You'll be one of our edges. Maybe you'll put Darius Alexander on the other one there. And, maybe they'll be 4-3. Like I said, I don't know what defense they're going to run until they have a coordinator and start talking about it. But I would assume it'll be 3-4. And I think he really could fill that Draymond Jones role if they commit to it and let him develop. And like I had mentioned earlier, I think the fact that he comes from the Steelers tells you, like John Harbaugh, he saw something in him. Like this isn't somebody that he just read about on Twitter or saw a little film on. Like he watched him in person 2 times a year, is very familiar with the player he is. And obviously there was something there that he saw. So hopefully, we'll see. He'll get a chance to try out for the team in camp, and I'd love to see him get developed. He's still only 25 years old. He's got NFL size. He's got NFL athleticism. Hopefully the Giants are able to unlock it, and we just stole a future starter from the Steelers. We'll see what happens, but you guys comment below. Give me your thoughts on any of that and what you want to see the Giants do this offseason. And then don't forget, please just like and subscribe on the way out.